Hello, welcome back. Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Part 20 now, and I think this could well be the final part of the build of this beautiful Pocher Porsche 917K in 1/8 scale. And what a beauty she is. So in part 19 we did this decal here. I've yet to go around this top edge with some white paint just to try and sort of get rid of that blue. We'll see how it looks. I may use a water-based paint. If it looks a bit daft, then I can just wipe it away. So yeah, it's gone down lovely. They do have a sort of a rough finish to them compared to the gloss paint, but that's absolutely fine because, as I said in part 19, they would have been vinyl which was laid down anyway, so they wouldn't be as glossy as the paint. It's something a lot of people, when they build like 24 scale rally cars and everything, they will do all the decals, do everything, and then give it a gloss coat and give the whole model a really nice sheen. And it looks great on the model, but it's not actually realistic, because in reality the car would be painted or even wrapped or whatever, and then the actual livery that's all over the car wouldn't be as glossy as a a nice glossy paint finish. So bear that one in mind for accuracy. But if you're building a beautiful display model, then you want the whole thing clear coated. And like this one, if you wanted to, you could clear coat the whole body after you've put the decals on. But I'm not going to bother with that because I think the finish they've got on here is lovely, other than the fact it's got a little scratch there, which can be polished out. So we also did in part 19, we did a wheel. Okay, we did the decals on the wheel, and they've gone down beautifully. As you can see, I've added the tyre valve, and here I fitted a tyre. Now in the instructions they tell you to put the tyre into warm water to warm it up and then put it on. If anything, you might want to use a hairdryer. I'm a little bit skeptical of using anything because of this beautifully painted on Firestone and this badge around the outside. So what I'm going to do is pick the best side, if there is a best side. This one, as you can see, it's got a little line on it there for some reason. So I'm going to have that on the inside, and I'm going to put the tyre over that. Okay, to get the tyre centred on the wheel. Alright, just like so. Because the tyre is going to sit on this step around the outside, so we can get the tyre, get that step to go into the tyre. Remember, this is on the back side now, so if I do scratch it or mark anything, it's not so important as if it did it on the front. So notice I'm pushing the tyre on back end first. Go on there. As you can see, it's really tight. Now I don't want to use water because I don't want to have water residue in there. You can see that's gone on now. So I don't want to have water residue in the tyre when I fit it, and I don't want to use a hairdryer because I'm worried about this lettering. So I'm just going to use brute strength and just push the tyre down over it, and it will go. Okay, but it does need quite a bit of strength. And then just keeping the tyre as even as you can. What you don't want is the wheel to kick off to one side. I'm just going to keep pushing the wheel in, and we're going to get this front area lined up nicely. Get the tyre to pop over the rim, as it were. You can hear it going on, you can see it going on here. It's a lot of work, it's not easy, but I think it's better than having water on there or risking the using the hairdryer and damaging that beautiful paint that's on there. Okay, so that's gone on lovely. I'm just going to grab a cotton bud and wipe around there where it's marked with the sprue gate, where the tyre's gone over the sprue gate. But there we go. You can see on there, there's our tyre. There's the other one. I've also gone over here with a sanding sponge and just removed some of the glaze from the tyre just to make it look a bit more realistic. So that's our front ones done. Now the rear wheels, they come in two parts. We've got an outer rim and an inner, and there's a tiny little pin on there, so that's got to line up with that hole. Okay, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there is movement. They're not a very good fit, they're a bit sloppy. So what I'm going to do is put a rubber band around the wheel like so. Okay, and that'll hold the two parts together just like that. And then just get the tyre, the rim centred, And then I'm literally going to get some of my black thin super glue. This is the VMS. And I'm just going to run. Come on, come out. Just going to put a few drops of this around the wheel. And this will basically run in. It's because it's thin, it will run in and capillary around. And because we've got the wheel held together, it shouldn't ooze out everywhere and make a mess. Shouldn't being the hopeful word. Okay, so we've got a few drops of glue in there. I'm not going to touch it and just leave that to dry. And I've got the other one here. Get that one centered. And then once again, just go round. Just like so. There we go. So that's those done. I'm going to leave those to dry for a while. I'm going to wipe the top of my glue off. Leave those to dry for a while. And then I'll fit the rear tyres the same. And then we can look at actually getting the wheels on the thing. And we're back. So, in the meantime, while I've been away, I used double-sided tape, same as I did on this window here, to glue it down. It doesn't seem to want to stick. I need to degrease these windows, I think. I've used the double-sided tape and that one's gone in lovely. I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to play with it. The windscreen wipers I've built up. So you've got two windscreen wiper blades here glued on, and then these are going to go in here. Now you can see that we've covered those two holes. So all you need to do is get something with a sharp point on it and gently just touch the center. Okay, make a little hole and then work sideways. Don't just try and go straight in because you might tear the decal. Okay, and that should do us. I'm not going to glue this in because I'm leaving this protective film on the windscreen for now, in case this this solution with the double-sided tape hasn't worked. But there you go. That will actually just drop on. It doesn't need to be glued in place. So it will just, oh no, it won't. It does need to be glued in place. It doesn't want to just sit there. Okay, so yeah, that will need to be glued in. All right, but there's your wipers in position. Obviously, you want to make sure they're touching your glazing. They need a bit of a tweak, I think. I won't worry about that until I'm actually coming to glue them in. But I'm not gonna glue them in yet. I'm also gonna spray them because there was some sprue gates on here, and also I've had to sand away some seams. So I'm gonna paint those black. Next time I've got some black paint in the airbrush, I'll do that. Probably do it off camera. I know we've got some black bits to go over the engine here. They may need to be painted as well. So, when I left you last time, the last little segment, I was gluing the back wheels together. And as we can see, if we look here, we can see they're done. And I've got them fitted. I haven't put the caps on yet, but they are fitted. The wheels are particularly wobbly, but it's not ideal. But because they're so wide, and the model's so heavy, the model pulls them straight, so you haven't got to worry about them, being all over the place. It's absolutely fine. There's a bit of wobble that gives them a bit of steering. You can see all the play and the bearings and everything. You can see that wheel is actually managing to poke its head out, even though this one's staying straight. So bear that in mind on your display. But obviously, because the suspension goes up and down, and because the I don't know why I've got black on there. It seems very strange. Weird. But because the suspension goes up and down, and because it has to, the screws are in slots anyway, they're not even in round holes, so you're going to get this sort of play. So we've done that. Okay, so that's all done. We didn't warm the tires up, we just forced them on. We've done that. And the last step now is this one, and then we're going to do some decals. So we've got all these bits and pieces to go on the back of the bodywork, and we've got all this to go on top of the engine, and we've got a decal to go on there. So that's going to be a number one there. Right, so I'll go and get the bits out to get this done, and then we'll make a start on it. All right, so I've got all the parts here. So we've got our wheel centers in the screw box, and then all the other plastic parts are all over here. We've got some blue bits for our gurney flaps. We've got those bits there. We've got the cover there for the engine, so that's going to cover up all that lovely detail. So yeah, we've got all those bits and pieces there. But before I do any of that, I'm going to fit this decal on here, because the reason being is we're going to be playing with it and I'm likely to catch stuff and get water on stuff and stain stuff. So I'm going to put this decal on first, which is the number 1. I've got that one over here. Here we go. It's WD1. I always cut the letters off, as you know. So that's basically going to go in there like that diagonally. Okay, we'll have to make sure it's sort of centered up. So what we can do there is just take a rule and we can measure the diameter of the circle, which is 68 millimeters, and across there, be careful not to where's one of these old, I've got one of these which is all bent anyway. Here we go. So what we'll do is we'll bend that up like that so that we can put it in like that, and we can see that that is 77 millimeters, so it's going to be roughly 5 millimeters aside to keep it equidistant. So we know that now, so we can keep an eye on that. What I could do is cut some masking tape 5 millimeters wide and put it in there, and go from there, and then remove it before the decal dries. So let's do that, shall we? And there we go. There's the decal on. I would like to say as I feared, but I honestly didn't think of it. Stupid of me. This really needs to have a circle of white paint underneath, because the decal, as you can see, if I turn this up and light off, it probably a lot better. You can see the black and the orange through, so it's not really in your face, but you can definitely see it. I also just want to show you something. If you remember when I did the front, I talked about people glossing over their decals to make everything all look nice, and particularly with rally cars and stuff. This book here, Fiat 131, this is a brilliant little book if it's a subject you're interested in. I think it was on page 68. Was it 68 or 64? 64? Yeah, 64. There's a picture of Marco Allen having just won a rally, or won a... Yeah, he's just won his first world victory in Finland, in his home country. But if you look at the door, look at that sticker where the door goes, you can see it's not at all shiny. In fact, it's all full of wrinkles. So, when you want to get your cars all nice and glossy and perfect and everything, then yeah. Right, so there we go. So that's that one down, and with this one I've literally just used water. I didn't use anything else. I haven't used any solutions or anything. I just put water down on the model, slid the decal down onto the water, floated it into place, and that's it. So nothing to worry about there. So now we can start looking at this rear assembly. I need a bigger bench, guys, or just less clutter on the bench, should I say, really. So we can move all that back out of the way. Let's get all this out of the way. I've got so many bloody paint jars with little things in them. It's ridiculous. I need a good clear up. So we basically have to now look at this rear engine thing. Now, I made a boo-boo earlier. I said, when we fitted this rear, I said, what a stupid idea connecting this to there, because I won't be able to open the rear end. What I hadn't realised is that, where's my tweezers? I don't even, you can't even see what I'm pointing at, can you? It's so bloody big. We've got this this rod, and I thought it was just one piece, but it's not. It's actually telescopic. So what we can do is actually fit this into there. It comes out that long. So, but I'd rather not put it in yet, because I've got a little stirring stick here, and what I can do here is wedge that into that corner. Wedge that into that corner like that, and that will keep the back end up, and you can't see a bloody thing, can you? I'm going to slide that back up in there. It's a pretty tight fit. I didn't realise it was. They make no indication in instructions whatsoever that is a telescopic unit. It just looks like one piece of cast metal. Anyway, so we've got to fit all these gubbins inside here. And quite how I'm going to film that, I really do not know. If I push the car forward, you can kind of see. I guess what I'm going to have to do is re-angle the camera so that you can see what I'm doing. So basically, we've got all these bits and pieces to go in. We've got these gurney flaps on the back, we've got these intake covers, and then we've got the actual black clam going over the top. Now, I've noticed an issue. Somebody did tell me about this, and I completely forgot about it. But there's a roll cage. In fact, let me move the camera so that you can see what I'm doing. It's stupidly just pointing into space, isn't it? Hang on a sec. I think that's a bit better now. At least you can see kind of what I'm doing. What I was talking about just now is this rod, which I've got taped up out of the way. This rod here you can see is telescopic. So I thought that was just one piece of metal, but it's not. I'll keep it up out of the way because I've got a wooden support in here at the moment. So I'm just going to move the camera down a touch so we can focus on this engine bay. Now, somebody did tell me about this, and I'd completely forgotten. When you go way back in the instructions, they tell you to glue this frame in here for the roll cage. And if you do, you can't fit this. And if you try and fit it, you rip all those horrible bloody silicone hoses off. I've asked them not to stop using that material. We'll see what happens. So basically, I've got this now. Luckily, thank God for the VMS superglue debonder. So we can now remove that. So looking in the instructions here, as you can see, we've got these trumpet tops to go on. We've got this shield and we've got that shield there. So we'll get these off the sprue. They're all on here like this, as you can see. So I'll get those off the sprue and get them glued in and cleaned up. We're probably going to have to, I don't know how much we're going to see of this. If you can't see them at all, I may even put some stain on them. But I'm sure they're supposed to be like tea strainers. But I don't know quite what these are supposed to be representing. But I'll get them off and we'll carry on. Alright, so I got those off the sprue, cleaned them up. We had a sprue get on every one, so there's white plastic. So I've gone on and painted them. Same yellow as I've done up there. So they need to be glued in. I'm not exactly sure what they are. I don't know what they're trying to depict here. I'm just going to put them in. You can't really see them anyway. What I'm going to do is put a little drop of glue where the little tab is. I'm using the Big Ammo Ultra Glue. I'm just literally going to put them in like that, turn them so that they're correctly orientated. And then we'll see how much we can see of them. And if we can actually see anything, then I'll probably put an oil wash on them. Now, I'm not sure what you can see either. Maybe my arm's in the way, maybe it isn't, I don't know. But I'm not really too concerned about having these securely glued in because I'm not going to be picking this model up and turning it upside down in a hurry. It's going to get put on a shelf somewhere and spend the rest of its days sat there. So I'm going to have to get a new shelving unit or something for all these Pocher models because they eat space. But they're a nice size to have around, you know. Okay, so just drop them in like that. And if you do like this new camera angle, please don't tell me because I don't. I don't like working with the camera right in front of my face. If you can imagine where the camera is, it's sort of trying to stick into my right cheek. Face cheek, that is, not bottom cheek. Just turn that to it. There we go. Get it correctly orientated. Same with that one. There we are. So that's those 6. I'll do the other 6 and then I'll come back and we'll continue with this operation. Alright, so looking at these pieces here, these actually fit onto here and they fit really, really nice. Well, the other side fits really nice anyway. Hang on. There we go. Very nice indeed. So they need to go in with that little groove on the inside. I'm not quite sure why the groove is there. Maybe it allows clearance if it goes over the engine. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use my Tamiya Extra Thin and just run a drop in a couple of places and let it capillary around. Just going to do one side at a time. And then if we do get any oozage or anything, we'll just give it a fresh coat of paint. and then that one can pop onto there. I'm sorry if I'm working off camera, guys. I'm really not used to this angle. I really don't like it either. Okay, so put that way up, just put a bit of pressure on there, let that dry, and then I'll be right back with you. Alright, so that's had like 10 minutes or whatever to dry. So we can place this over the engine. Can you see what I'm doing? Yes, you can. Let me just bring the car back a touch. And there are some alignment pins. There's some tiny little pins on here that go into holes there, and they've also got 4 pins here that go into holes in there. So we're not going to glue it, we're just going to place it into position. We've got to get it underneath the roll cage up at the front there, which is easier said than done. I'm sure it will go. This is the first time I've actually fitted it. There we go, and that's all our engine detail now covered up. That's why I'm not gluing it, and it doesn't want to stay down either. For some reason, it's probably the HT leads pushing it up. That's okay, that's absolutely fine. And then this roll cage or roll bar will just pop down on top without any glue. Just like so. Somebody's decided to start knocking their fence down. I think that's it. And there we are. There's all that lovely detail covered up, but we can still see, if I pull it back and bring it round, we can still see all that lovely plug lead detail in there and on the other side as well. So now I'm going to have a go at connecting up this thing. So this is going to come down as far as it can. The doorbell, there we go, that's in. So now you've got this option. You can have the back down, but then you can actually pull it up and it stays up on its own. So that's pretty cool. So that's that done. So we've got all the engine internals done. All that's good. It's not quite sitting down pressed, but I'm not going to worry about that. I could glue it in place, but I don't want to. So there we are. So the last thing we've got to do are these gurney flaps on the back. And here is a perfect example of somebody not thinking when they're doing moulding. These are going to go this way up, and they've put the sprue gates on the top. Why didn't they put the sprue gates on the bottom? So now we've got to try and cut these off, and no doubt this is a white plastic sprue. So we've got to cut these off. Yes, it is. And we've got to sand those down, and we're going to have to try and match the paint to that's how I bend my god hands, I think, cutting sprues like that. So basically we've got to get these off. In fact, I'm going to go back to the normal camera angle now, because there's really nothing, although I suppose I could leave it like this so you can see me put them on. But there we go. We'll get those trimmed off as neatly as we can, but it's no point trying to just sand that little tiny area. What we do is go along until it takes those 2 lumps off. Such a prominent position as well, it's so annoying. Well, if we're going to touch up these 2 little bits, we may as well touch up the whole length, eh? So there we go. Just like so. Okay, so they're going to basically go on there like that. So there we are. So I've now got to go and make a paint to try and match this. I don't quite know how I'm going to do it. I have got a Humbrol paint which I think is very close to it, that came with a Porsche model, and that could be it there. 47. You can see it dries slightly darker than the lid. Let's have a look and see how that works out. Back in a minute. So there we are, guys, Humbrol number 47. That appears to have done the job lovely. So we'll just, can you see what I'm doing? Here we are. Just lightly brush some along this edge. I did also notice I had a scratch on the front as well, on the corner of the bonnet area. I don't know when it happened. It may have happened during polishing at the factory, or I may have done it, but there is a bit of a bald spot. So that seems to have worked very, very well. So I'm going to grab one of my little clampy doofers, put that in a clampy doofer like that, and then stand that over there in the paint stand. Okay, and then we'll do the same on this one. I mean, it's good because it's such a small area, but as I say, don't try and just sand away that sprue gate, because you'll probably end up with an undercut. You're better off going across and giving yourself more area to paint and smooth it all out. There we go. Right, so we get that in a clampy thing as well. There we are, and I think I'll turn the model round and we'll have a look at this front end a minute. Now, none of this needs to be cleaned up, does it? So that can all stay on there. So I'm going to make sure I've got no paint on my fingers or anything. Drag her back. God, it weighs a ton. Bloody hell. I'll get her backed into there. I think it's down here. There's a bit of a bald spot. Just on that edge there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just a tiny little edge. So I think with my left hand I'm going to come in and just gently stroke down there. That's it. It's a tiny little area. There we are. Give the brush a clean, wait for everything to dry, and then we can perhaps proceed. See how things go. Right, back in a minute. Okay, and we're back. This is a couple of days later now, everything's dry. And I've gone on and fitted these decals on the doors, as you can see. There's also a black trim around here. If I lift the rear end up and then wedge it open, because it won't stay up on its own for long, you can see that down in here there is a black decal in there. So it tells you in the instructions way back where to fit it, but don't fit it at that stage. You see it's staying up now, it wouldn't stay up just now. There we go, so that's gone like that. So yeah, it's looking, these decals really are nice. There's also some golf ones to go on the insides of the wings. The little fins here, you can see. There's one there. We've got one on the other side as well. Yeah, it really is nice. This is going to annoy me, I think, but what I might do is put some double-sided tape on it or something. But we'll look at that after. So yeah, they've gone down beautifully. They've gone down really, really well. And I did exactly the same with these as I did up on the front. I just basically put them down with no setting solutions and then put microsol on the edges. It's also worth noting when you do these doors, let's see if I can get this up on its side again. Weighs a ton. When you do these doors, the circle here for the top is actually made too long purposely. So do the bottom first, get this black trim lined up, because that black trim is part of the decal, and then when that's dry, lay this one down on top so the circle matches, and it will overlap this, and then you could open the door and fold it under. Otherwise you'll end up with a staggered circle. But I'm happy with how that looks. It's great. I've also added that little emergency pull lever on the side. I also need to check the instructions here, because we've got this here, it says off. Something's just fallen off. Oh, that side window again, a bloody window. It says off, but there's nothing in there. I need to see if I've missed something in the instructions, or indeed if I've broken something off, because there's just nothing there. So we'll have a check at that. This window I think is going to have to be glued in. It's the double-sided tape is just not holding it. So I've got double-sided tape on the clear and double-sided tape on the door, and it's just not enough. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with that. Actually, I wish they'd put some means of location or something on this glazing, because it's just sat in there, and I don't know. The trouble is, if we use clear glue on here it won't match it because we've got the black surround, but here we've got the clear. Whatever I put in there, it's going to show through, which is why I want to use double-sided tape. I guess once it's on a display, then it's not going to get moved. It's not going to fall off. But there we go. But it is looking very, very nice. So then we've got a box of bits here. So we've got all our screws, obviously. Now the gurney flaps on the back. What we'll do is we'll drive it off the side of the bench here. So if you remember, we did these and we painted the edges of them with Humber 47, and that's all matched lovely. So they're ready to go on. But if we look at the instructions, I'll put the bloody car on top of the instructions. The instructions, we've got these bits to go on. So we've got these parts here to go on as well. And these are going to go on to these flaps. So this one here is D4. And I've managed to cut these off without the numbers. But we can see that we need this one. Okay, so I'm going to get my little nippers. And we can see that we've got to be very careful when you cut these off, because the pin is part of the sprue gate. So be very careful that you don't completely lose your pin. So that is going to go that way round, and that top is going to glue into there. Oh, I should have done this before, because now we've got another bit of white plastic to touch up. Duh. And that is going to go into the body there. So the holes are plenty big enough. So we'll just cut this one off its gate, and we'll cut this one off its gate as well. Okay, throw that bit of sprue away. So they're good to go. And then we've got these here. I'm not exactly sure what these are. Some sort of catches for the rear end, are they? I don't know. They are symmetrical, so we don't need to worry about which is which. So we'll just cut those off of there, like that. We'll cut those off of there, like that. Throw the sprue away. And that is going to glue into there like that. Okay, so we'll use our Big Ammo Ultra Glue purely because it won't fog anything, it won't mark anything, and it's a great glue all round. So what we'll do is we'll put some glue into those holes like so, and then we'll put that lever in there. Okay, so that can go on like that. I need to check my references. I'm wondering if that little handle on there needs to be painted blue as well. Not the handle, the sort of the little bit that's captured the handle. There we go. So that's done. So now we can stick these on. I'm just wondering if I lift this rear end up, and I put my piece of wood in there just for safety. You might be able to see what I'm doing, at least on one side anyway. This is the problem with these things, they're so huge. So I'm just going to put some glue in these holes. Okay, they don't need to be like mega glued on because they're not doing anything, are they? There we go, that's that one on. Okay, and then this little piece here, these go in with the little flange facing out. So I'm going to put a little tiny drop of glue in there. And a tiny drop of glue in there. And that'll be enough to hold that one in. There we go, that's gone in there, lovely. Okay, and then we'll do the same on the other side. And that is pretty much going to finish the model other than the wheel nuts. Okay, so fitting these wheel nuts, centre locks. I'll do the front one, I'm not going to do the back one on camera. I'm just putting some of the ultra glue, sorry I'm off camera, I'm putting some of the ultra glue onto the nut and then just positioning the wheel and just engaging there's a little lug on there that has to engage. I don't know why, I don't know why they feel they need to do that, but there's a little lug on here that has to engage in a hole. In fact, it would be a good idea, especially with the back one, to just cut that off because it's a pain. It's an absolute pain. So I'm just going to put some glue on here, and the back ones are quite difficult because it is so deeply recessed inside. So I've got my tweezers here, and I'm going to put the nut into the wheel and just push it on. There we go. And then because I've cut the lug off, it doesn't engage. Yeah, it's just free to turn, so that's cool. So that's what I suggest, is cut the lug off. It makes it a lot easier to get in, especially on the back because it's so deep in there. So there we are. Other than the wiper blades, this model is finished. Now what I intend to do in a minute is go through, sorry about that guys, what I intend to do, I don't know if you've noticed if you watch Talk TV, but Julia Hartley-Brewer's on there, and she's on from 10 till 1 or whatever it is. I don't generally listen to her, but I hear her come on now and again. I'm not a big fan, to be honest, but she's had this cough for about 3 months. It's just ridiculous. So I've obviously got the same brand of cough as she's got, same manufacturer. So there we go. So anyway, this is that needs sorting with some double-sided tape or something, or maybe a couple of magnets. We'll just leave it because it looks absolutely fine. But I'm going to call this one done. We've got the the wiper assembly obviously to go on. Now I don't want to fit that yet because I'm not sure about this windscreen. Now, as you all know, I will be getting the Martini kit, and I'm wondering if they will come up with a solution for this. And if they do, I should try and get a replacement for this one. But it seems to be staying for now, but I don't want to glue those wipers on because if I do, then getting that windscreen on and off is going to be nigh on impossible. So I'm just going to keep those wipers to one side until I think of a solution for this, to stop these windows falling out and to hold this one in securely. It seems to be staying in. It's been in there, I don't know, a good 48 hours now, and it's staying in, so that's fine, using the double-sided tape from the Lamborghini. This one, on the other hand, does not want to know it, so that one's not playing ball. But as I say, even if I use the ultra glue or even crystal clear, we will still see a witness of glue, glue in behind the clear part. And being in such a prominent area, I don't really want to do it. So, not really sure what to do. Maybe some of you have a suggestion. But anyway, there we go. We are done. That is finished. So what I'm going to do now is just run through the instructions. I offered, how can I say this politely? I said to Hornby, I have some suggestions where changes could be made to the instructions to make the build a bit easier. And they're like, yeah, send them through, we're well up. And I don't think they've listened to one of them. I've done the same for the Pagani. I don't think they've listened to any of it. So I'm not going to bother in future. I'll just tell you in my videos. But it's just my opinion on what I think should be changed. Things like, you know, not telling us to fit this decal down here, the black stripe, way back before you've even put the side skirt on, because that's where it's supposed to go. So anyway, there we go. I'm going to have a little play with these decals, and I'm going to come back and tell you all about the instruction errors. See you in a minute. Okay, so I have here, this is the manual that came with my kit. Now, this was, I don't know if it was pre-production, it was certainly one of the first ones in the country, a different batch than what everybody else has bought, I think. And I believe that when you got your kits, you had to download the instructions. They didn't come with a manual. Now this one I think has got a couple of mistakes in it, but we'll find those as we go through. So I'm just going to move the car over a touch. Okay. Now, when we look in here, okay, I'm going to go through the manual page number by page number, but I'm also going to mention the stage, because I know, for example, I know for a fact that when we look here, right at the back, that's the last step, and it's page 41, and this is page 42. So I think I know where we've gone a page out, but we are a page out somewhere along the way. Right, so going through the manual, if you've got this kit, pause the video now, go grab your manual. You might want to make some notes if you haven't built it. If you've built it already, you might want to send me some corrections and tell me that I'm wrong or whatever. But anyway, stage 1, page 4. J screw needs to be replaced with a screw 3 to 5 millimeters longer. This screw here is not long enough for that part. You might remember that back in the beginning. And also H23 and H24 can be fitted at this stage if the modeler wants to fill and blend the seams. So basically what we're looking at here is you go all the way back in the manual to where you're fitting the engine, and you've got here, you have H23 and H24. So I'm going to get this bloody car out of the way. Goodbye. Goodbye, car. Oh, so big. It's so big and heavy. I've got somebody trying to bloody text me. Right, get the car out of the way. So we've got, you can see here H23 and H24. These are the tops of those cooling intakes for the rear, for the transmission. They can be added now if you want to do some filling and, you know, get rid of those seams. So that makes sense. Page 10, step 4. Okay, step 4, DC1 to DC12 13. Orange, change A screw to D screw. Okay, so what we know, step 4, page 10. Sorry, step 4 goes on forever. Step 4, page 10. DC1 to DC12 and 13. So DC1 to DC12 and DC13, DC12 on both of them. So there's another error. Use a change A screw to a D screw. The D screw is shorter. And then also for the same one, DC5. Was it DC5 to DC12 13? So this is DC5. F screw needs to be 1 millimeter longer. So you need to find a screw which is longer, or just, you know, just don't over tighten it, be careful. Step 11, see my video for easier assembly suggestion. Now I've done a complete section on this, and you can watch that. There's the link to the video there. Okay, if you want to go and find it, there it is. But I did a completely different build sequence, and I think it went together a lot easier than the way they're suggesting there. Also in step 4 on page 11, DC3, do not glue. Yeah, don't glue that in position. Okay, don't glue that to the sides, because it needs to swivel, because you have a top piece going down, and you need to make sure that it's going to fit onto that top piece. I'm just going to see if this is trying to text me a minute. Hang on, my mum sending me some pictures of stuff. Anyway, so yeah, so DC3, do not glue it. That needs to be able to move. So when you put the top down here, those holes, those pins need to align with holes in there, and there's no way you're going to align it otherwise, so don't do that one. Coming over to page 14, DC4, there should be a large electrical panel. Yeah, this is notes that I've actually sent to Pocher that they seem to just not take any notice of, but there should be a large electrical panel there on that panel, but it's completely missing from the kit, so it's something they should consider adding, I think. E1 page we're on page 19 stage 11. So page 19 stage 11 here. There should be a panel fitted over this section for the driver's feet. Sorry, I've missed a section there. 16. Oh, it doesn't matter. There's a panel. There's a panel goes over the floor for the driver's foot, and it's not there. Again, it's me suggesting something for them. Page 19, step 11, E1. This panel should be painted grey as the interior. Yep, so that's the interior there, so that should be painted grey. And then you've got D13 and K16. These parts should be painted as per parts H17 from step 4, page 11, ignition coils. So yeah, these parts here should be painted the same as the ignition coils. So that's that light blue colour. Like, if you remember, you saw me do mine like that. Page 20, N3 and N7. Yeah, add these parts to step 29 as there is no location for these parts. So these parts here, N3 and N4. N3 and N7. These lower ones, they've got a position to go in. But the upper ones, they have no position to go in. Okay, so that's labelled N3 and it shouldn't be. That should be N7. They've got the numbers all wrong in here. It's a terrible mess. Right, so yeah, that's N3 and N7. It's the top two that go into the cabin. These two here, don't fit them afterwards. If you go back, you'll see what I did. I glued them into the body. Page 23, step 16, H1, H20. These parts should be fitted at step 19. So we've got H1 and H20. Yes, H1 is this one here, and H20, this one here. Fit those. Don't fit them up now. Fit them when you actually fit those parts to the car, and then you can ensure correct alignment. Otherwise, again, it's like that part of the chassis. You need to make sure that's going to align. And then we've got page 26. Page 26, step 19, TU4. Tube should be cut to 90 to 100, not 80 as per the instructions. TU4, yeah, cut that one to 90. Okay, don't cut it to 80. Page 27. Notes should be added to not glue DCB14 to DC4. Yeah, if you glue this part here, to that part there, it won't come apart. And it needs, when you tighten the wheel up, it needs to pull. This needs to be able to pull out. So don't glue this assembly together. Just put it together and don't glue it. Okay. And then here you've got these decals, water decals. Here they're telling you to add these decals. Don't do that until you've done the orange side skirts. The whole point of them is they go over the orange sides, not there. So yeah, remember that one. Page 28. This is a biggie. This one. The anti-roll bar, they show it just dropping down. It doesn't. You have to thread it through. Go back and watch my video. There is a very, very involved technique to get it through. So it doesn't just drop down. It has to thread through. You can see here it's gone through the chassis, not just down on top. Mounting holes too shallow or A screw is too long in DCB6. So this is the brake caliper here. Use a D screw instead, I've suggested. DCD3A. This part is visually identical to DCD3 used at step 9 but has a smaller hole for screw A. No ID of that part. So this part here, which part is it? DCD. Which part was it? I can't remember now. Here we go. So let's the bottom of the shock absorber. There's DCD3 and there's DCD3A. You need, for this one, on page 28, I can't remember which you need now. If you go back and watch my build, you'll see it in there. But DCD3A is the part for the front, and this is the part for the rear, and they're visually identical. So the DCD3 has a smaller hole, no ID of DCD. Yeah, so you need the smaller hole on the front, on the rear. You need the smaller hole on the rear, okay, for that to go in. And then DCD6 A17, which is here, DCD6, okay, A17, they show that it's going on the outside. It has to go on the inside. Again, watch my video. It's a right cock up, this part of the instructions. Make sure that that goes in behind, okay, and then the screw goes in from the outside. That doesn't go on the outside like that, all right? And then you've got all the same on this side. It's just the same thing on the other side. And then we're nearly done, don't worry. On page 30, upper location of these parts is incorrectly shown in the manual. So which parts are we talking about? DCD8, DCD24, DCD8, DCD24. Yeah, they don't go in there at all. They're not going in there. They're going further back. Okay, they're not going in where they're showing them there, up into the chassis. It's obvious where they go because they go straight up in behind. In fact, on mine, this one has actually fallen out and I cannot get it back in there. So, hey ho. And then finally here, these straps, if you remember, the strap length is called out to be 25. It's too short. They should be at least 38mm, those two straps there. Okay, don't cut them because you've got about 150mm of strap. So you cut the 225s, you cut the 50, you're left with 50, you're stuck. I ended up gluing them together to extend the straps and it looked bloody awful. So I just ended up leaving them off. A lot of the cars I saw didn't have straps on them anyway, so there you go. So that's basically that, guys. I hope that's been a bit of a help to you. So thank you for sticking with me through the build. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. It's had its frustrating moments, but all in all, it's ended up a beautiful model. As I say, windscreen, side windows aside, everything else has gone together lovely. The decals go down like a dream. It looks like there is nothing in this hole, so that's that. This needs magnets or something to hold it down, or permanently glue it down, but why would you want to do that? So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with me. Stick around. Oh, just one more thing I do want to show you quickly just before I go. A lot of people complain about this style of instructions. It's not clear, it's too busy, da 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 da. Here is the manual for the Pagani Utopia. And as you can see, there's a bit of a difference in the presentation. And you can see here, there's the Martini Porsche. You can see here, we have sprue callouts, we have 3D images, all in colour, all with arrows going together. Now again, I've had this for a long time. And I've sent them some improvements, suggestions, and they've ignored me, so I'm not going to bother anymore. Yes, they give me these models and it's very kind of them, but as I always say, guys, if I have an opinion on something, I will express it, no matter how good the company is to me. I'm not going to tell you that this is perfect just because they've given it to me. I'm not going to tell you this is perfect, because as I've just showed you with the instructions, it's not. The manual's not perfect. The model ends up beautiful. I think it's very reasonably priced when you compare. I mean, yeah, 800-900 quid for a model is not reasonably priced, is it? But when you compare it to what else is on the market and the cost of those, I think this is very reasonable indeed. And would I buy one? I think I probably would, because I love the Porsche 917 so much. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. A little bit of extra work done here and there, a bit of painting and stuff, and it's been great fun. Oh, the other suggestion I would make, if you are a perfectionist, when it comes to putting this roundel on the back or even on the sides here, paint a white circle first to put your decal down on, because you can see the orange and the stripes through that. Alright, so thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon. This is it. This is the end. And we will be together soon for the Pagani. So in the meantime, you've got the D'Agostini Mustang and the D'Agostini Ferrari to enjoy. But I've got the Utopia kit here, but it's on. I'm not allowed to do anything with it until they give me the go-ahead. I think that's going to be around about June time. I shall see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.